Hi, my name is Anna Nikipirovic and welcome to the tutorials. I am a designer, tutor and author, and it's just an absolute pleasure to be here and show you how to work Tunisian mosaic crochet and Tunisian stranded color work. They are both fantastic techniques and I absolutely adore Tunisian crochet, and working it in mosaic and stranded color work is just an added cherry on top of a very delicious cake. So let's get started. Let me show you everything. And yes, and if you like this video, then please do like, share and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. And leave me a comment. Anyway, let's get started. So in the first part of this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to work the Tunisian crochet mosaic. We are going to be working from chart, which will be available in your notes. This chart is taken from my book Mosaic Charts Directory, and it's nice and simple chart to get us started. Before we do get into the crochet, let's look at the chart first and let me explain the chart a little bit. So each box represents one stitch. So that's one forward stitch and one return pass. So basically each row is a forward and return pass. The first and the last stitches are our first stitch, which is already on the loop on hook, and the last stitch is always worked in the same way. The rows are color indicators, which means whatever color is the first or the last box, this is the color you will work for the forward and return pass. Your row numbers are on your right because we will always be working on the right side, and our chart is read from right to left. If you are left-handed, it will be from left to right. It wouldn't make difference. The work will still look the same. The red box represent the repeat box, which means basically the stitches in the repeat box. If you want the project to be wider, you need to increase this project in multiple of 8 stitches. And of course the first and the last 2 stitches here after the red box will be worked. This is at the beginning and this is at the end of the actual of the row. So this stitch will be worked at the beginning and these 2 will be worked at the end of the row. But whatever it's in the red box has to be repeated. And the same goes with the rows. Again, if you want the work longer, you will just go back. So you will work whatever is in the box and repeat it how many times you like. And when you're ready to finish your work, you will finish off with this last 2 rows here. The Tunisian mosaic I'm going to show you today is worked in simple stitch and a Tunisian treble. That's UK treble, US double crochet. So when you look at your chart is a visual representation of your pattern. You see? It perfectly shows you what your pattern will look like. What you will also see is those boxes marked X. These boxes represent where you will work your Tunisian treble, US double. So everything else that doesn't have an X, it's worked in a simple stitch. Only the one with the X are Tunisian trebles, US doubles. Also, very important thing is we need to start our work with the foundation row. This foundation row is not shown on chart. The foundation row is always worked in the opposite color to your first row. So our first row is the dark color, our foundation row it will be in a light color. For the ease of understanding everything, if you have never worked mosaic Tunisian crochet, I would suggest using a light color for the light boxes and a darker color for the dark boxes, just for the ease of understanding everything, just for the ease of working it. So we have to start with our light color, and we're going to work. Our chart is 11 stitches with the box having 8 stitches of repeat. So let me add on 8 stitches. So we have to work 19 stitches in total just for our sample. So using your light color, chain 19. Okay, so that's our chains. So now we are going to work a foundation row, which is a forward and return pass of a simple stitch. So going into the bumps at the back. The reason we are going into the bumps at the back, because if you look at our swatch, it will give us a perfect finish and it will match a finish row. So on the finish row, you will just slip stitch into every single stitch, but it gives us perfect finishes on both ends. So just going into your bump. So this is your front of your stitch. You're gonna turn around and go into the bump in a stitch. So starting with the second one from hook. So pick up every single bump. So now when we have all of these done, so these are the forward pass on a foundation row, and the return pass is always worked in the same way. So yarn around the hook through the first loop, then yarn around the hook through two, through two. Before we finish the end, I would like you to stop when you have your two loops on hook on your return pass, grab your contrast collar and finish off the return pass in your contrast collar. Simply place it on your hook and finish off the return pass in your contrast. That is a very nice and neat way of changing color, and this is the way we will change color on every single row. So that we have now completed a foundation row, and now we are at the beginning of our chart. So the beginning of our chart, we don't have to worry about anything here but just working simple stitches in our dark color. The reason we don't have to do anything, because when we are on the rows above, this is where we will start placing a treble into those two rows that we have that we will create. Okay, so for now we are on a dark row. We're gonna ignore all the light boxes and everything. Everything in this row, it's a Tunisian simple stitch. So of course we're going to work a simple stitch, which means we're just going to pick up our vertical bars and work as simple stitches as normal. And we will only do something different on the last stitch, and the last stitch has to be worked in a by picking up the two strands. So when we reach the last stitch, if you look on the last stitch, let me bring the camera closer. So when you look on the last stitch, your last stitch has a stitch here, so we will insert it into this stitch and the one behind it as well. See, so the last stitch has two legs, one in front and one at the back, and this is what we will insert a hook into. Grab your yarn and pull it through. And now we are ready for our return pass. And again, our return pass is as normal again. So yarn around the hook through one, and then yarn around the hook through two, all the way until we reach the two last loops. So when we have two last loops on hook, we're going to change our color for our light one. Two loops on hook, grab your new yarn and pull it through. Oopsie daisy, that's stretching out a little bit. Let's pull this tighter. Perfect. So that's our first two rows, and now we are ready for row number 2. So this is where the fun starts now. You see, we've got the boxes marked X, and this is where we'll be placing our treble, US double. But let me just bring the camera a little bit down so I can show you the stitches better. So now we're on our light row. So our light row obviously is indicated by our salvage stitch. So here we are on this row. What I suggest also is getting some washi tapes to mark your rows. The best thing to do is to in Mosaic crochet, any Mosaic crochet or knitting really, is to mark the rows above the one you are working on, because you need to see where those trebles are going to be placed. So a salvage stitch is already the loop on hook, and the very first stitch is taken by that loop already. This is exactly the same as in standard Tunisian crochet. And now we are going to work 2 more simple stitches. So we're going to work 1 and 2. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 loops on hook. Perfect. And now we come to our box marked X. Now, as you can see, this is a light on light box, and we are on a light row, which means we are going to have to place a treble into the foundation row. So we will place this treble into the row of the same color. So our first row of the same color is our foundation row. So this is placed into the 2 loops of a vertical bar. So if you look at your vertical bar, the one below, so this one, it has the vertical bar and it has one behind it. Well, it's actually kind of in front of it, you see? It's got one here and one here. So when we are working our treble US double, we will work it into the both legs of this stitch. The reason is because it will give us a nice and stable treble. It will give us a nice and stable work, and it won't stretch too much. So to make a Tunisian crochet treble US to Tunisian crochet double, we're going to go yarn around the hook. We're going to look for our next stitch. So our next stitch normally it would be this one, but because we are going 2 rows down, we're going to look at the one below it. You're going to insert a hook into the 2 legs of the stitch of the same color that we are working on. Go yarn around the hook and pull it through. We've got 2 loops on hook left of that treble US double. We're going to go yarn around the hook and pull it through both of those loops, so we end up with 1 stitch only. We still should have 4 loops on hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we do have 4, so perfect. So we haven't lost any loops, which is perfect. So now our next stitch is just a plain stitch because it doesn't have an X. So we are going to work a simple stitch. Yarn around the hook and pull it through. The stitch that is behind our treble US double, we are going to miss it completely, and don't worry about it again. It stays at the back. So now again we come to our X, which means again we have to place a treble. So yarn around the hook. We are going to look for the stitch of the same color 2 rows below, and again stretch it out a little bit so you can see the 2 legs, so the behind leg and the front vertical bar. Grab your yarn and pull it through. 2 loops on hook, yarn around the hook and pull it through both. Perfect. See, easy peasy. So now we are going to work 1, 2, 3. 3 simple stitches, because we don't have any X's, 3 simple stitches to the end of our repeat box. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that is our first repeat, and as you can see, it mirrors our chart perfectly. So now we're going to go back to the beginning of our red repeat box, and we've got 1, 2 simple stitches, and again we have to work our treble because we have an X. So yarn around, find your next stitch and look for the stitch below it in the row of the same color as we're working with now. 2 loops on hook, yarn around the hook and pull it through. Next one is simple stitch, and then again we're going to place a treble. So this one and here. Perfect. And now we are almost at the end of our work, so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and an end stitch. So 4 simple stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, and an end stitch is work always in the same way. So if we look at our last stitch, you have a stitch going upwards and a stitch on the side. You see, so this one is on the side and this one is going upwards. We are going to work into the one that is going up. So you see you've got one leg here, and if you tilt it, there is one at the back as well. So insert your hook into those two strands, then yarn around the hook and pull it through. See? And again, we're going to work the return pass as normal, yarn around the hook through one, and then through two all the way until we have 2 loops left, and when we change color. Easy peasy. So now we've got 2 left. We're going to grab our new color and finish off the return pass with the new color. Perfect. So now we are moving on to row number 3. And now we are on our dark row, which we've got our dark color in. Perfect. And again, the first stitch is the loop on hook already, and it belongs to this stitch here, so we don't worry about this one. So this is the salvage stitch. We're starting our work from here. So our first stitch is a simple stitch because we don't have an X, so it's going to be a simple stitch. And then the next one, we have an X, which means it will be a treble US double. So now we are going to place our treble into the row of the same color. You see, so you can see it clearly shows. So we are going to work into the row of the same color, and the light row it's in the middle. You will always work your trebles US double into 2 rows below of the row of the same color. So yarn around the hook, look for your stitch, which is this one here. You see that this is our next stitch. So we're gonna insert a hook into the both legs of the stitch. Grab your yarn and pull it through. 2 loops on hook, yarn around, pull it through, 2 loops. And then we are going to have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then follow again by an X, which means it will be a treble. So yarn around and insert it into your stitch and yarn around and pull it through both. And again, you can see our work is beginning to represent our chart. So we created this kind of bridge here now. And now we've got 1, 2 stitches before our end of red box. And we are now at the beginning of the red box, so we're doing a second repeat. So again, simple stitch, treble, US double, 1, 2, 3, 3 simples, 1, 2, and 3, and again 1 treble US double, and again always into the 2 legs of the stitch. And then we finish off our work with 1, 2, 3 and an end stitch. So 3 simple, 1, 2, 3, and the end stitch of course is work into the stitch going up into the 2 strands of that stitch, so the one in front and the one behind. Grab your yarn, pull it through, and now you can work your return pass. So yarn around the hook through 1, then yarn, oh, I've got this one in the way, then yarn around the hook through 2, all the way to the end. Stop when you have 2 loops on hook and change it to your new color. And now our next row is row number 4. And now we will be on the light row, and you see the stitches with the X's are placed into the row of the same color 2 rows below. So now we will place our stitches into this row because we are on a light row, so we will place them into our last light row, which will be this one. So if I show you first, so this is our first stitch, our first loop. We're starting immediately with a treble US double. So we're going to go yarn around and place a treble immediately here, you see. So we only worry about the stitches with, oh God, I've got contangled up. To place a treble here. So we only worry about the stitches that are marked X. So this is where our trebles will be placed. Everything else is simple stitch, and the first stitch and the last stitch are always worked in the same way. Because this chart is adapted from Mosaic knitting chart and inset Mosaic crochet, our repeat box is really in the wrong place. So when we finish our row 4, we need to go back to row number 1 to start repeating. But because obviously our row 1 is not marked with X, we will simply just move it up by 1. So you will end your repeat on box number 5 and start again on box number 2. And that is the simple adjustment. So your repeat will be really from row number 2 to row number 5. And when you are ready to finish, you will work your row number 6, which unfortunately I didn't do it in my swatch, and then a row of slip stitches if you want a neat finish, if you want a tight finish. If you would like to loose finish, if it's for a shawl or something, you might want to leave this as it is. So you might want to leave it as it is now, you see. It's a lot more stretchier. But if you want the finish that will be the same at the beginning and the end, you see I haven't worked my row 6 here at all, but never mind, it's just a small swatch. You will simply work a row of slip stitches. I will go back to my blue, so I will show you how to do your slip stitches in the blue. To work a row of slip stitches, again, the loop on your hook is taking care of this. The loop on your hook takes care of this first loop. You're going to simply go into your next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, and immediately pull it through the loop on your hook. Into your next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through the vertical bar, and immediately through the loop on your hook. So that's just a simple slip stitch. See, just pulling it through all those stitches. So yarn around the hook and pull it through both of those loops. So into your next stitch, yarn around, pull it through, and through the loop on your hook, you see. So that will give you a beautiful edge. Obviously you want to finish your work with the same color as you have started. As you can see on this chart here, your foundation row, which isn't shown, is obviously in this color, so you want to finish your work to match. However, it's not essential, you can finish it however you like. Anyway, hope you have enjoyed this video. Please do like and subscribe, and let me explain to you how to work Tunisian stranded color work. So now we will work Tunisian stranded color work. All of this color work is worked in simple stitch. So again, the simplest of stitches, but the effects are beautiful. This time we will work with 2 colors per each row, which means we will carry a color with us. So if you look at the back, this is what it looks at the back. So we've got all those colors coming at the back. So our 2 colors will be carried with us on the forward pass and return pass as well. As you can see as well, the color work pulls in your work a little bit. You can see that the finish row and the beginning row are flared up a little bit. You can of course use a bigger hook for your color work only. I have used 4.5 for all of it, and I'm using a double knitting yarn. However, blocking helps a lot as well, and it depends what you are making, of course. But the whole idea is, when we're carrying our yarns at the back, not to pull them tight. You want your floats to be nice and loose, but not too loose, so they create a gappy work. Also, you want your floats to be nice and tight so your fingers don't go in through them, because if you're making a jumper, you don't want any horrendous, you don't want any loops, big loops at the back to pull in your work when you accidentally insert your finger inside of it. But before we start, let's look at the chart. So this is the chart that we will be working from. Each box represents one stitch, and all of it is worked in a simple stitch, so Tunisian simple stitch. The first and the last stitch are always worked in the same way as before. The first row shows the foundation row, and the last row is obviously the finish row. So I have already created my foundation row here. See, so this is just a simple forward and return pass in our main collar. And now we are ready to start on row number 2. Grab your washi tape and make sure you mark your rows. Again, I like to place them above the row I'm working on, purely because my eyes just concentrate a lot better on what I'm doing. So I just always place it above. So now we are going to start on row number 2. And again, the first loop on our hook is the first stitch. So the first loop belongs to the very first stitch, and that is represented by this stitch. So now we are going to work a second stitch, and a second stitch is in our contrast collar, which means we have to grab our contrast collar and work our next stitch. So insert your hook into your vertical bar, your next vertical bar, grab your dark collar and yarn around the hook and pull it through that stitch. So that is your dark colored stitch. So then our next 2 stitches are light. So we're going to pick up the light collar and work the next 2 stitches in our light collar. Now, what I want you to be very mindful of and very careful of is not to twist your yarn. So the perfect way of doing this is to basically separate your yarns. So as you can see, my dark collar is to my right and my light collar is to my left. So when my next stitch is the dark collar, I'm going to pick up my dark collar from my right, you see, and I'm going to work the next stitch and drop it back to my right. Then I'm going to pick up my light collar from my right and work the next 2 stitches. And then again, I'm going to drop it to my left and pick up my dark from my right, work the next stitch, drop it to my right, pick up my light from my left, and work the next 2 stitches. That way my colors do not mix. And we can see what we are creating here. So we basically just working 2 light stitches, 1 dark stitch, 2 light stitches, 1 dark stitch, until we reach our last stitch. Okay, so dark collar, 2 light stitches. This is of course the one-handed method. There is a way of working it with two-handed method, which I will briefly show you later. I'm doing a full video on two-handed crochet, so I will get that down to you ASAP. And then 2 light, 1 dark, and we're going to end it with the light, and of course working our last stitch as we usually do into the 2 last strands. Now this is our forward pass. So again, our chart is representation of what we are making, so it should look the same as it looks on the chart. So we should have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 dark stitches. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Perfect. On return pass, we have to work our light stitches in light color and dark stitches in dark color. So we're going to start with chain 1, and our next stitch on the return pass is a dark color. So we're going to pick up a dark yarn and work yarn around the hook and pull it through both of the stitches on hook. Then our next 2 stitches are light colors. So we're going to grab our light color yarn and work the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 2. So just pulling out through those 2 loops. Our next stitch is our dark color. So drop the light, pick up the dark, and then yarn around the hook and pull it through both of those loops on hook. And continue to do so, making sure that you don't pull your work really tight. You don't want your work to be tight, so you don't want all those stitches to pucker up. So all those floats, you want them nice and relaxed. 1, 2, but of course you don't want them too loose because they will be gappy and horrible and stretched out. You see, here we go. Just continue to make a return pass as this all the way, and until you have 1 loop left. So now we can see this is what our work looks like. Give your work a bit of a stretch to loosen up all those floats at the back. Okay, so now we are ready for our row number 3. So if we look at our chart, this is our very first stitch, and we've got 2 stitches in our light color. This is the very first stitch that it's already taking care of the loop on hook, and we're going to work 2 more stitches. Oh, this one is stretching out a little bit. Pull this in a little bit, and then our next 3 stitches are the dark color ones. So we're going to grab our dark color, and we're going to work the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3. Drop it to your right. And next 3 stitches are light. So we're going to work 1, 2, and 3. Oh, let's get this one. This one has strands. There we go. See? Drop it, pick up this one, and work the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Drop it to your right, pick up the light from the left, and then 1, 2, and 3. You see, we're going to do this all the way till the end, and then the dark. 1, 2, and 3. And then we have to look at our chart. So we're ending with 3 light colors. Obviously the end is our end stitch, so we should have 2 normal, which we do. We have 1 and 2, and our end stitch is work as normal, so into the 2 strands of the end stitch. And now we are ready for our return pass. But have a look, check your work if it's all the same. You see, it represents our chart perfectly. So now the first 3 loops are light, so we're gonna go obviously chain 1, and we're going to work the first 2 loops in light. So yarn around, pull it through 2, pull it through 2, and then our next 3 stitches are dark, so we're going to grab our dark color, go yarn around the hook through 2, through 2, and 1 more through 2. So now we have a dark loop and a light loop first. We're going to switch to our light color and work 1, 2, and 3. You see, and again dark color, 1, 2, 3, and work this way until the end. 1, 2. And that's the end. So always stretch your work on return pass just to give those floats a bit of a stretch. So now we are ready for row number 4, and I want to kind of show you how to strand a little bit. So stranding is when you carry your yarn that is not in use. So you will usually carry it over more than 3 stitches. So you see we worked here 3 stitches. We didn't have to strand. It's perfectly comfortable to just kind of carry your yarn over 3 stitches. But if there is more than 3, then you want to strand your yarn so it comes with you without creating massive loops at the back. We don't have stitches here to carry our yarn with us. However, I can't strand anything on a 4th row, but I can strand something on a 6th row. You see, so we can imagine that this is a light color box and not a dark color box. So let me go to row number 6 and I will show you how to strand your work. So now that I'm ready for row number 6, let me show you how to do stranding. As you can see, my work curls. Of course it does. It's Tunisian crochet. Again, blocking is your best friend here, and also using bigger hook helps a little bit as well. So row number 6. So if we imagine that we don't have this black box here, so these ones will be our light squares. Yeah, so if we just imagine these are our light squares. Yeah, so we will strand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We will strand our work on the 3rd of those 5 stitches, because that's perfectly in the middle, and it will carry it really nicely. So we will start with our first stitch, and of course our next stitch is the dark stitch. The dark stitch, here we go. And then we've got 5 of the light stitches with stranding the dark in the middle. So you're going to go 1, 2, and you want to strand your yarn on a 3rd. So insert your hook into the next stitch, place this yarn on top of the hook. So place the yarn you want to, so place the dark yarn on top of the hook. See? Grab your yarn you want to work with and pull it through the stitch, making sure that the contrast yarn doesn't come with us. So the yarn we are stranding needs to be neatly placed at the back. See? It's just here. And that way our yarns have not twisted. We have not twisted anything, but they still come in with us. So now we're going to work 2 more stitches in light, 1 and 2. So that's our 5 stitches here, and then we've got 1 dark. So we're going to work this dark stitch. Oopsie daisy. So we're going to work this dark stitch, and then again we come to our 5 stitches where we need to strand. So let me show you again how to do this. So work 2 stitches, 1, 2, and we're stranding on the 3rd. So insert your hook into the stitch, grab your contrast, place it on the hook, grab your yarn you are working with, yarn around the hook and pull it through the stitch, making sure that the contrast doesn't come with you. And then work the next 2 stitches. 1, 2. See? The contrast yarn comes with us nicely without creating massive loops or puckering our work. So the next stitch is there. Dark color, and then again we're gonna strand again. And what I want you to also do, after every few stitches, stretch your work out on your forward pass, just to make sure it doesn't pucker up stranding. So into the stitch, grab your contrast, place it on the hook, at the back of work, yarn around and pull it through, making sure that the contrast doesn't come with you. And then we've got 2, and we're finishing with, oopsie daisy, so that one has to be here. So 2 more light, one dark, and the last stitch is the light. Now stretch it out. When we're doing our return pass, when we come to those stitches, we also have to strand our yarn. Unfortunately, on a return pass, there is no other way of stranding this yarn but twist it. But let me show you. So our next stitch is dark, so we will do it in a dark. So we will do it with the dark, not in the dark. So to work this, simply work your 3 stitches. So that's 1, oops, 2, 3, and now we are going to twist the collar. Simply grab your contrast from underneath and twist it around the light color. So then you see they are basically twisted here. So the contrast is lying. So the contrast is lying on top of the light color. Then finish off your light colors. Then grab the dark again and work it as normal. So let me show you this again. 1, 2, 3. Twist your contrast. Make sure that the contrast is lying on top of your light and just finish it off. So at the end of this, you're going to have to untwist your yarns, of course. But sadly, I wish there was easier way. You can untwist them as you go, but I am very impatient, so I don't do that. And one light one. And you see, the contrast has followed us all the way without creating huge loops. Let me just show you how you can work this using a two-handed method. So one way you will hold your one yarn in your right hand and one yarn in your left hand. So this is the way you hold it, will be the throwers way. So in UK we knit a lot using the throwing way. So we basically go a yarn around the needle. So you will hold your hook in the same way. The only thing that changes, you will wrap your yarn. And of course, this way is just the standard way you will hold your yarn. So let's say I'm going to work my first 3 stitches in my contrast. Let me just move this out of the way. So let's say I want to work my first 3 stitches in my light. So I'm going to go 1 and grab it from my left hand. So you see, so my yarn is on my left hand. So I'm going to just grab it here. 2 and 3. See, easy peasy, there's nothing to it. Now, if I want to grab it from my right hand, I'm gonna go in, I'm going to go yarn around the hook. So I'm going to wrap my yarn around the hook and pull it through. 1, 2 and 3. Okay, give it a bit of a stretch so it doesn't pucker up. And again, my next 3 stitches I want light, so grab it from my left hand. 1, 2 and 3. See? So then I'm gonna use the dark colors again. So 1, and I wrap it. So I don't go underneath as you would do in knitting. I will go yarn around, because this way it grabs it a lot better onto your hook. This is the speediest way of working color work. It's most efficient. However, it takes a while to get to get to grips with it. I will be doing a full videos on my channel with this, so do keep an eye on the tutorial coming up. But for now, I hope you have enjoyed both of the tutorials on mosaic and stranded color work, and do please have a go and tell me what you think. If you have any question, do leave them in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure, and see you soon. And of course, do like and subscribe. That would be much appreciated. Thank you so much.